Good morning, folks. Welcome to a Queensland Daily Weather App from Oz Cyclone Chasers. My name's Chris Nitzo. This update brought to you by our major sponsor, TownsvilleSheds.com. Check them out if you're in the market for a shed-safe, accredited shed. All right, across the state this morning, we've got a lot of light, patchy rain across the central interior, central eastern parts of the state. A couple of little showers coming up here on the southeast Queensland coastline. Some heavy shower activity just offshore off the North Tropical Coast and the Herbert-Burdekin coastline, and some shower activity near the Mackay coastline as well. We're already starting to see some convective activity building up across the far northern interior, and sneaky couple of these westerly monsoonal showers starting to kick up across the Cape York Peninsula. They'll only increase over the next 24 to 48 hours, and they'll become a lot more monsoonal. Rainfall amounts till 9 o'clock this morning. Thanks to the Bureau of Meteorology, we have significant rainfall across the central inland parts of the state. Also, big hotspot there around the Mackay region. Yesterday, it was just to the south of Mackay. This morning, it's most of the heaviest falls are being just to the north of Mackay. And you can see there, Rowellen Park, 227, and Black Mountain, 228, vying for top spot. By the way, this is now starting to become a tremendous rain event for central inland Queensland. We've seen multiple days now so far in a row of falls in the 50 to 100 millimetre range over various pockets of that region. Across the northern parts of the state, we've also seen some locally heavy falls with showers and thunderstorms. Lots of showers and storms up through the Gulf country, and starting to get some good numbers across the Cape York Peninsula region. So fantastic rainfall. You'll also notice the Townsville district did all right, with quite a few areas getting 50 to 70 millimetres last night into this morning, and the Cairns district also doing quite well with a fair bit of rain in that North Tropical Coast region. Looking at our deep layer steering influences across the state, we've got a big trough system with a low pressure system somewhere around that Georgetown area. The expectation is that we're getting this beautiful north to northeasterly flow into that central inland part of the state, so we're going to continue to see lots of potential for heavy rainfall in that district. We're seeing this north to northeasterly flow also on the North Tropical Coast and the Herbert-Burdekin coastline today, so lots of locally heavy showers across that part of the world. Now, what's interesting is that this trough system and low pressure system are going to become the monsoon trough. Very, very sneaky, isn't it? This trough will eventually merge and become a monsoon trough as we progress into later tomorrow and Sunday across Queensland. You can see this deep monsoonal flow. This is the steering wind, so this is looking at the winds through a deep level of the atmosphere, so not just what's happening at the surface. You can see there monsoonal influence developing across the Cape as we go into Saturday night, Sunday, and then that monsoon flow turns northeasterly around this Townsville to Mackay coastline. That's going to result in some very heavy rainfall once that monsoon trough gets established in this North Tropical Coast region. You'll notice that this flow, this turning of the flow, happens to the south of the monsoon trough. So that means that the heaviest rain will be south of the monsoon trough. So think of today as a bit of a transition period between a inland trough and low to a monsoon trough tomorrow. So today we're going to see much of what we've been seeing so far. Lots of locally heavy showers around the Cairns coastline, Townsville coastline, Mackay coastline. They're potentially also going to see some significant rainfalls across the interior parts of central and northern Queensland. Slow moving showers and thunderstorms impacting North Queensland, and this northeasterly flow pattern into central Queensland, potentially resulting in locally heavy falls again. We can also see increasing rainfall for the Cape York Peninsula region today compared to the last few days, so that's fantastic news. Well, actually, it might not be fantastic news for some parts because they've had way too much rain, but fantastic to see that we're at least spreading the rain out. You notice that it's a little bit drier across northwest Queensland, not as much rainfall to be had. There's still a couple of isolated gusty storms that could form back here, but we are looking at a lot of drier air pushing in there. And around the far southern parts of the state, there's a little bit of dry thunderstorm activity, so that's mid-level based storms with potentially some gusty winds associated with them. Lots of light rain and cloud cover extending down into southern parts, around the northern parts of southeast Queensland, central Queensland region. And from this deep convective activity further to the north, a lot of outflow could drive a fair bit of rain into this central Queensland region as well. So you can see those numbers starting to get up there. Might be a little bit overestimative of the rainfall potential, but gives you an idea that from the deeper, the stronger stuff here, we might get a bit of outflow from that, pushing quite a bit of rain onto that central Queensland region. Tomorrow, the monsoon trough develops across the north, so we see increasing rainfall on the Western Cape, particularly being squeezed down through the central Western Cape, and we see widespread showers and thunderstorms across North Queensland. We begin to see some heavy rainfall developing on that coastline south of and along the monsoon trough, but particularly south of the monsoon trough. So the monsoon trough's expected to form around about Tully. Anywhere south of Tully has the potential to see significant rainfall tomorrow, and we're talking about serious rainfall here. We're talking about falls in the 1 to 300 millimetre range over a 24-hour period. A lot of this rain doesn't really kick off, the really intense stuff doesn't really kick off until sort of the back half of the day as well. Still going to take the monsoon trough a little bit of time to organise itself, and it's still going to take that northeasterly squeeze in the flow pattern a little bit of time to organise itself as well. And you also notice there's quite a bit of rain heading inland. So once that monsoon trough develops, we're expecting to see this beautiful northeasterly flow extending a long way inland, once again to central inland Queensland, and potentially starting to drive some of that moisture a little further westwards again towards the end of tomorrow. Obviously, if you're a boatie, you need to stay away from the southern side of the developing monsoon trough. As the monsoon trough develops on the southern side, we're going to see increasing easterly winds at around 15 to 20 knots sustained. Obviously, squalls can become up to about 30 to 35 knots in this type of situation. So we want to be avoiding the open waters across central and north Queensland, south of the monsoon trough. The monsoon flow itself won't be anywhere near as strong as the last version of the monsoon that we just had. So the flow pattern across the Cape expected to be around 10 to 15 knots from the northwest. There is a possibility towards the end of the weekend or on Monday that a low pressure system forms along the monsoon trough close to the North Queensland coastline, whether it's up here, whether it's down here, whether it's out here. A few of the models differ in the exact placement of it, but it is important to understand that if that low was to start to form over the weekend, you'll be in a world of pain if you're out there on the water. So stay off the water if you're south of the monsoon trough. We offer way more depth and detail into this forecast about what the different areas that are under the monsoon are going to experience and the sort of timeframes that they're going to experience in. Head over to join.ozcyclonechasers.com.au, check out our subscription options, and I'll catch you there with all the in-depth stuff. Have a wonderful day, and I'll have a chat to you in the morning with that very interesting monsoon development.